So here we are again. It's showcase day. Welcome. And today Magnus Stromdal is going to give us an overview of digital assessment in Norway. And so without further ado, I'll hand over to Magnus.
Thank you, Jim. My name is Magnus Stromdal. I work for Uninett in Norway. If you're very familiar with GÉANT 3 Plus project, Uninett is part of a member behind the Norwegian group. So that's why I'm not present at one of the major partners in the project, but we're hidden behind Norwegian, so the bigger Nordic group. I'll be talking about the work we do on digital assessment in Norway. Digital assessment is in moving forward from paper-based work, and it's in the green GÉANT NA3 T3, the green team group in GÉANT 3 Plus. This is basically the outline of what I will talk about. Short introduction to Uninett and why we do this stuff. What is digital assessment? Because that's a huge definition, and I have to narrow down the scope a little bit. Why we do it? There's several reasons why we do it. Mainly the modernization of the educational sector. A little bit about the organization of the project and how we organized. A little bit of the lessons learned so far. We have also done a lot of work on best practice document or current best practice or campus best practice document. The documents have several names, but we really find them useful. And this is an ongoing project, so there's a way forward. Hopefully, there will be more presentation about digital assessments further on. Uninett is the Norwegian NRN. We're primarily serving higher education, even though we have a little bit of primary education connected. We're in the range of a little bit more than 300,000 students. I have to admit, I have no updated figure on that one. We've been using that figure for several years, and it's probably increased. We connect 200 plus customers. That's a moving target because there is a major change in the higher education in Norway. And university is merging with the university colleges, creating new, bigger entities, but wider spread, several hundred kilometers apart between the different parts of it. And they do it to become more attractive and attract more students and get a more complete set of courses. Uninett has also had some history of having collaboration between the NRN and the customers. And that's one of the reasons why we can do such initiatives like this digital assessment. What is digital assessment? This is a very high level drawing of the components in the digital assessment workflow. And in this drawing, the stuff in green is parts that's already in place. At least they're doing it in somehow it's digitalized. Some of it is still on paper. Some of it is manual routine. Some of it is automated. And there are also lots of systems, existing systems on top that feeds input to a digital assessment workflow. The blue stuff is the blue boxes is the digital assessment workflow, like making the test, the teacher creating the test, answering the test, the students doing the test for it, grading afterwards. Some procedures on complaints, and there's also some procedures on also finalizing and archiving the results from the exam. There is also an interesting thing in this one. We had to draw in the IT support because that level has to be present from all the way through the exam workflow. And it's actually not a digital tool or anything, but it's work that has to be done and has to be present. Researchers have to be present. Why digital assessment? Digital assessment is about working smarter, moving from paper-based assessment procedures to digital procedures. That's a way that everything is moving in the digital world, and they actually will increase and improve the quality of the results from the students because they get to work with the tools they will have to work with in their work life after they're done their studying. And also the quality will improve because all the manual routines with handling paper degrade the quality of the data in it. People make errors. All this change from paper-based procedure to digital procedures require changes in operation procedures at the university. There will also need to be done changes to the regulations regarding the assessment procedures. And there are also possibilities to do new ways of assessment because you can move from just not big written exams to multiple choice exams and also some more home written exams where people go home, write for several days and hand in a paper. There's new possibilities. There's also an issue with students of today can't write by hand anymore. They're using their PCs when they study, so why can't they use the PC on the exam? It's a question to the student, and they have a point. They look at your own handwriting. At least mine had really degraded in the last years. There's also no turnkey product that fits the Norwegian higher education. There is immature solutions from vendors. There's several promising solutions, but there's lacks of features for supporting workflow, and there's also some of the solutions that tend to grab the whole education environment and want to grab the whole thing and take all the boxes in the previous drawing. And people or the institution is not interested in that. That examining or assessment solutions grab all the whole workload, everything about the education part. The digital assessment project is organized. How is it organized? The assessment project is part of the eCampus project. eCampus program has been programmed for moving from paper to digitalized education with video recordings, podcasts, meeting tools, collaboration tools, stuff. The Uninett, as a part of this program, Uninett has established a national project to ensure that students get access to digital assessment. All the universities and the university colleges have been invited to participate in this work. The interest is at least half. We have something like 40 institutions of higher education, and at least half of them is part of the project. Some of the smaller ones is stepping to the side and waiting for the solution, saying we will wait. Some of the bigger ones say that we are in a hurry and we want to do it ourselves, so we're so far ahead and we want to continue with our own project. But in the project, there's created several working groups. All working groups has participation from universities. The project do a lot of coordination of existing activities because there's been trials with the digital assessment for years, and all this experience has to be shared. So there's lots of we try to facilitate a exchange of experience between the different institutions, and we need to write specifications, and we write some of them in form of current best practice document or campus best practice document. Lesson learned. We have discovered several important points in today's rules and regulation. The rules for assessment today is based or originated from paper-based assessment. So there's a lot of interesting issues when we move into digital procedures. Things like bring your own device. Can we require that the student bring their own device? There's no good answer to that one. If the student want to bring their own application, if they want to use another tool, another application, and the teacher is using in the course, is that good? We need to do risk assessment of the central of the solutions for assessment, both in the central part and need to be done risk assessment at different universities. Code services is a big question. And there is also some question about rights and responsibility in the digital world. What's common sense in the digital world? The use of commercial cloud services for running digital assessment solutions is a big question. And at least if you run it in one of the big international solutions, you have to really do risk assessment. Can you run it? Can you use it? As I mentioned earlier, we find current best practice documents really good for the work, because this is an immature market and nothing is really standardized yet. So they work as a pre-standardization description and again a common understanding of needs and requirements for digital assessment between the universities. When they discuss stuff, they have the same basic understanding of it. They also have the same language and the same name for stuff. Current best we plan to write, or by the way, we have written one on the one on infrastructure for digital assessment. It's not published on the GÉANT 3 plus websites yet, but it's on its way. It's in the pipeline from the best practice work group. The one on client for digital assessment is 75% done, and it's need to go to translation and to finalizing. We're really not sure about the one for integration because the topic of integration has changed a little bit. But we need to write one on workflow for digital assessment because the workflow is changing. And earlier on today, we realized that we actually need to write one on logging and monitoring digital assessment because people is afraid of what they're allowed to, what logging they're allowed to do and what monitoring they're allowed to do and for what purpose. So they need to be done written and best practice document on that one. Current best practice documents are really nice as a first conversation, as I said, and as a giving a common goal. We are planning to use them as part of the underlying tender for our solution. So we need to translate them to English anyway. So we decided to share them with the GÉANT community as best practice documents in the best practice work group. And that work group will continue in Gen 4, so it's this one will be visible in the GÉANT repository during the Gen 4 first year, probably. Yeah, this 2-year project aimed to do a public procurement process in the, for a digital assessment solution in first quarter of next year. And in the pre-procurement phase, we decided to do tests and investigate the available solutions out there. So far, we have discovered 13 different solutions. Not all of them is suitable or can be used in the Norwegian higher education, but at least we found them and in the dialogue with them. And we run this project pre-procurement as a pilot in national pilot in the supplier development program. So we are allowed to talk with the vendors, do development together with the vendors, and when the procurement goes out, everything has to stop and wait. Then all the dialogues have to stop. And we are allowed to do this for 2 years maximum. The current best practice document will be part of the requirements in the call for tender. We recognize that we need to update this current best practice document during the test and investigation phase of the project. Accepts of solutions is part of the procurement project. Procurement is probably a separate project. And there will be a new project for moving from procured stuff testing and into production. That will probably be a huge work later on. This has been a quick overview of the digital assessment work done in Norway. basically all I managed to do in 20 minutes. So, questions?
Thanks very much, Magnus. Very interesting. I think if there are any questions, then please feel free to type them into the chat. And while I'm waiting for any questions to come in, I'll just wrap up with the usual announcement that we still have showcases slots available. If you'd like to present a showcase, then please do. And we'll be putting this recording of this up onto the GÉANT TV YouTube channel, where you can also find most of the other previous showcases, and we'll continue to put them up there as well. So thanks, Magnus, for your time and for the presentation. And Ian has asked a question. I'm interested in the digital assessment. Can you tell me where the CVP docs are?
The CDP documents will be published on the GÉANT website for the best practice documents when they're done in the translation and what do you call technical writers. The form for infrastructure is at the technical writers at the moment. We're breaking up English and improving the quality of the language in it, and it will be published hopefully before the end of Gen 3 Plus, so this month. The next one is probably going to be the next one on client will be available before end of May, beginning of June. The other one is a little bit more unsure of the time frame because we're working on them and it's more work than expected. It's a lot of work to write them.
Okay, thank you. Ian, I hope that's answered your question. And is the, I do have also a question, is the current best practice the same as the campus best practice, or are these two two separate efforts?
Yeah, they have. They started out with a campus best practice as the name, then it became current best practice, and nowadays I think they're using best practice documents as their language because the scope of them is broadening. So I think the work group in GÉANT is using best practice as the label on the documents, and that's we're talking about the same thing.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, if there are no further questions, then we'll wrap up. It's just typing. Just wait to see what he has. Yeah, just saying thanks. Okay, thanks very much for your time, Miss.